The question can be asked, why all the comparisons between Meghan and Kate? Shouldn't we stop pitting women against each other? Shouldn't we just support all women? Isn't that what feminism is all about? Etc., etc., etc. And while I am inclined to want to say that, racism. But I know nobody wants to talk about racism. It's not hip, it's not fun. And I'm not going to do that to you today. I'm going to make this fun and upbeat. And so we're going to start with Kate. I still remember the exact moment I found out there was a person named Kate Middleton in the world. And it was when she was getting married. Like literally the week of her wedding is when I found out that this was even like a thing at all. And so some of the very first facts I ever found out about this woman was that she was in this great love story with Prince Harry's sibling. And it was a great love story, and it should make me gush and make me happy just to witness. And isn't this just the most wonderful thing in the world? And there were several reasons that this was being, pointed out to me as a great love story that I should also maybe one day hope for myself. Reason number one, Charles. I know, it's weird. It weirded me out too. But this is what the press was saying at the time, that had Charles, been allowed to marry the woman that he loved, then perhaps we wouldn't have suffered through all the tragedies and discomfortures and, all that heartache that we suffered through. And so, William marrying Catherine Middleton was somehow seen as like a triumph for the royal family as well. Don't ask me how. Do not ask me any questions. I am not in these people's heads. But that's the story I was getting told. And now I'm just telling you. And if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, how did they know this was like the great love story that they were telling us about? How did they know that, this isn't a Charles situation? And you're reacting correctly, because I had the very same reaction. But not for long, because the press very soon quickly dispelled my confusion, because they explained why this was a great love story. Reason number one, Catherine isn't noble. Also, she's not from any of the royal families in Europe or anywhere in the world. And therefore, the fact that she was getting married to somebody who was one day going to be king was a big deal, because she's a commoner. And it was always kind of expected that he would one day marry somebody who is in his social class, wealth class, whatever you want to call it. More importantly than that was the story of Catherine herself, what we were getting told about Catherine, specifically as a person who lives in the so-called Commonwealth. What I was getting told about Catherine, oh, baby, because the first thing that they tried to tell us was that, she's like this, commoner. She can be like the stand-in for any person in the world. Like, she shows like through gumption or audacity, fairy dust. I don't know. Okay. These people were just kind of trying to paint the story that if this ordinary woman who is a commoner can marry a future king and therefore birth a future king herself, isn't that special? Isn't that something? And also because they're doing this in the context of the so-called Commonwealth. The majority of people in the Commonwealth are black and brown. And somehow that got, translated into like a class thing, and therefore a Catherine thing. And therefore Catherine marrying into the royal family was also kind of meant to be like representative for all of us. She's meant to be like, I don't know, like our into the royal family. Like after Diana, we didn't have anybody in that family to look up to. And now here's Catherine. And it is at this point, I would like to remind people, these are still the only things I know about this woman, is that she's in a great love story. And then she's going to marry a future king. And then one day she's going to be queen and maybe birth a king herself. If not a king, then at least a queen herself. And that's it. That's all I knew about this woman. Oh, and that she's meant to be like this, proxy for us common folk who can dream through her, who can, look, she got chosen. Maybe one day it can be you too. And now I want you to contrast all of that with the very first time I found out that there was a person named Meghan Markle in the world. And I still remember this as well, because we were sitting around the dining hall table, my friends and I. We used to just sit there for hours eating, talking nonsense. But this time around, we weren't talking nonsense. And I remember this one girl, I'm not going to say her name because y'all are shady. And she was telling us about this new show called Suits. And the table went wild because everybody had apparently been watching this show called Suits, and it was like the most beautiful thing with the most beautiful people, and everybody loves Gina Torres. So we were like all excited about that. I was like, oh my gosh, she's in it. And everybody was like, yeah, girl, she's in it. Because I don't watch legal dramas. I don't understand legalese. My brother is a lawyer. He has seen the struggle with me. Okay, I'm never going to get it. But anyway, everybody was talking about Suits, and I was now starting to catch on that I'm actually missing out because everybody's having all this fun. They're having so much fun with like the smartness that's going on in the show, the clothes, like the fashion is on point, the characters. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll give this thing a shot. Also, if not for the show itself, then so that I can be able to contribute to this whole conversation that's going on without me right now. So I went to my room and I pirated Suits. Do not judge me. You know you were doing it too. So I went to my room and I pirated Suits, and Rachel Zaid came onto the screen. And I don't think I started with episode 1 because I wanted to catch up to where everybody was. So I didn't start with episode 1, I don't think. But I remember Meghan was wearing this pair of shoes that immediately I fell in love with. And I knew I was one day going to not only own those shoes, but I was going to wear them to like a big thing. And I kept my promise there. I wore them to my graduation. These shoes that you see here, baby, inspired by Meghan. The Meghan effect happened to me before I even knew what it was. And going on from there, like Meghan very quickly became one of our favorite celebrities. My best friend and I, we love Angelina Jolie, and we love her because of like her fashion, her beauty, you know, her humanitarian work and all of that. And when we were, something searching Meghan on the internet, we found out like similar, like strides, like she was, into doing all of these amazing charities. She had an amazing sense of style in her real life as well. And also, like, she was a smart chick. Like, she had taken up, like, this internship in Buenos Aires at the U.S. Embassy, like, as an junior press officer. And not only that, like, she had graduated with a double major from an Ivy League university. And later on, I found out she had this amazing website called The Tig. And, she had like 3 million followers, and she had all these celebrity interviews, and it was successful. Like, she had brand deals, and she was making, like, she was globetrotting, not only like it was such a full life that she was living, right? And it was so aspirational. Also because like she did actually come from like, a middle-class family. Like, she had like scholarships, she had to apply for scholarships, and she had like an actual relatable life that you could look at and find yourself in. And, without even going into all her achievements and everything that she has done, even before she met her prince, I would just like to remind people of the prompt at the very beginning of this video. So why all the comparison? Why all the comparisons between these two people? This is why the comparison, for me personally. This is why all the comparisons between these two women. And no, it's not anti-feminist. It's not me pitting women against each other. It's y'all refusing. You know what? I said I wasn't going to talk about racism.